So tired, man. Hey, welcome to another episode of 5 Minute Computer Science. My name is Mr. K, and today I want to talk to you about output devices. So in this episode, we're going to be looking at printers, 3D printers, we're going to be looking at monitors, but all kinds of monitors, and we're going to be looking at some things like actuators. So let's put 5 minutes on the clock, and let's make it happen.
Alright, let's talk output devices. Now, of course, output devices have been around for many years and you'll be familiar with lots of these on screen. But the key thing here you need to bear in mind is an output device is essentially a device used to communicate the results of processing to the human being. And that's it. So we're going to be looking at a few of those that are typical and a few that you may not be familiar with. So one of those is a printer. Now, years ago, back in the 80s, dot matrix printers were very common, and dot matrix printers are still being used today, but very few people use them. And the idea behind a dot matrix printer is that a copy is made by striking pins against paper, and because you're striking pins against paper, this means that identical copies can be used or can be made using carbon related paper. So carbon copies were being produced. So say you've got a purchase of a product, and you've got a delivery note, you've got a driver's instruction note, you've got a copy for the organization. You could get a carbon copy, so three essentially pieces of paper inside the printer, and they all get printed at the same time. Well, these were used, still are, but they're old, they're slow, and they're noisy. And then as a result, an inkjet printer became the norm in the homes of many people. So back in the late 90s and early 2000s, inkjet printers were still being used and are still being used today. The difference here is an inkjet printer, it sprays the ink onto the paper. You can get high quality black and white and color images at a fairly reasonable cost. But of course today most people have a laser printer at home, which uses far better technology and is relatively cheap these days and better in nearly every aspect than a laser printer. So that's printers for you. Now there are other aspects of printers that you need to be familiar with, and the one printer that you should be are 3D printers. Now 3D printers essentially use a process of layering to produce a physical product. So this process uses computers to control successive layers of material, which is used to build up the thing that you want to do or want to produce. However, this technology has now advanced to such a stage that you can actually 3D print pretty much anything from clothes to metal to food to weapons, and potentially replacement parts for a human being. So the idea is you have a CAD system or a computer aided design system. You build a 3D model in the CAD system. You then upload it to the 3D printer, choose the material that you want. The 3D printer then builds the layers one at a time until the actual item has been produced. Dead easy, don't you think? Okay, so let's talk about LCD monitors. LCD monitors are pretty much the bee's knees when it comes to monitors. They are better than plasma screens in nearly every way. They reach maximum brightness quicker. They are sharper. Their image quality is better. The colors are more. They're brighter, thinner, take up less memory. So in all cases, pretty much the winner in any kind of competition with plasma screens. You do get LED screens that are organic, and these are going to eventually become the norm in the home, but not quite yet, certainly not in the UK. So high-end phones like Samsung Galaxy 7 and others are using LED screens that are, one, bendable, but most importantly organic, and these will eventually take over. And you can see example here of an LED graphic screen which is organic. So we're going to be talking about these a little later on. And finally, you get actuators. Now actuators are an output device, but really it's a piece of software that's used to control output devices. So you might have in a very modern high-tech home, you might have lots of devices such as your windows, your doors, your radiators, your temperature control. Everything is controlled via this piece of software which is connected to some kind of motor. So you may be able to run a shower, close a window, close a door, all by controlling software which is attached to a motor in your home, which then turns on and off those kind of devices. Actuators are around and people are using these more and more for security reasons, but they will also be being used for lots of other aspects of the home in the next couple of years. Well, that's all I want to say on this topic. Here's the spec for you to enjoy. Thank you, and this has been 5 Minute Computer Science.